Hello, this is Ben Adams, and you are listening to the Bill Obbocast. Presented by Patrick Stratford. Brought to you in association with GeorgeFairbrother.com. shop.saturdaymorningpress.co.uk. vanguardcomics.co.uk. gibconsultancy.co.uk and mcrseo.com.
Today I'm joined on the Obbocast with Rebecca Deeprose to celebrate one of her all-time favourite characters on the bill, the ever-reliable D.I. Chris Deakin. There were so many Deakin stories to talk about that we have made this special discussion with Rebecca the first of a two-parter that I hope you all enjoy listening to. Rebecca Deeprose, welcome to the Bill Obbocast.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you.
So what I normally like to do with each of these Obblecasts is to ask, what's been your journey with the Bill and how did you first discover the programme?
So I probably started watching it, would have had it on TV back in the 80s, like most of us. My parents would have had it on, and I remember some of the legacy characters from around that time. Ted and Galloway, I remember. But I would only have been about 10 or 11 in those days. So I probably wasn't watching it as heavy as I would have got into later. This was when I was in Kent, and then we moved out to Cyprus. 89, 90, we moved out to Cyprus, and we were there for, I think, till about 93. My parents split up and my dad and I came back to the UK. But the reason I'm saying this is because when we were over there, we had one channel that used to broadcast British television called SSVC, Services Sound and Vision Corporation. And on this one channel, it brought together everything that was on TV in the UK. So we'd be able to watch what was being shown. And I remember, I'm probably about 11, 12 years old at this time. And we used to have these brilliant Saturday nights on this channel where you would get things like, it would start at about 6 o'clock and it was just pure classic Saturday entertainment. And you'd get Big Break, that would be on first, and then it'd be followed by Blind Date, and then it would be followed by Noel's House Party, and then it'd be followed by Casualty, and then it'd be like a big film on afterwards. And I just remember watching this on Saturday nights throughout these years. And then during the week, all the soaps would be on, back to back again, because it was one channel. So you'd sit down and you'd get Coronation Street, you'd get EastEnders, you'd get Emmerdale, you'd get The Bill. Not like want to lump them in, the Bill in there, but you understand.
Yeah.
And El Dorado, yeah, I said it. El Dorado was in there too. And I did watch it and I did miss it when that got cancelled. That's probably one of about two people. I really did like El Dorado when it was on. And yeah, so I have memories of it. But in those days, actually, I was probably more a fan of Casualty. I remember really, really being a big fan of that in the early 90s. And then so when we came back to the UK, my dad and I, for about a year, we stayed with my dad's brother, my Uncle Michael. And he lives in Wimbledon.
Ah.
And he was actually ex-Met himself, believe it or not, just happened to be a policeman too, but long retired now. He was in his 60s at this point. And he used to tell me that he'd see a lot of it being filmed around where he lived. Now, I was quite, as I say, still quite young at this point, so I don't have any memories of asking him, like, who have you seen today, or what did you see, or anything like that. I probably just didn't have a concept of it that could be a thing. But he did say, I remember him saying to me several times, he'd seen them out filming in various locations. But then one day, he took my dad and I to Deer Park Road. Oh. We just got in the car. It was, 10, 15-minute drive away from him. And we went there. We weren't there very long, and they weren't filming, and the sign wasn't outside. I remember Sunhill Police Station, it wasn't up. But we went, and I remember they sat in the car waiting for me across the road. And I got out, and I did, the shutter that goes down across, leading into the yard. I remember standing at that gate, just my nose pressed up against it, like just anything that I could see. And I remember being able to see on the wall on the left where the parking bays were not graffiti, but marked up on the brickwork. You'd see CID and you'd see superintendent and all of it. I remember seeing those, and I just wished they must have been out. There was nothing going on outside, at least, and it all looked very quiet and closed down So perhaps everybody was out on location, but there was certainly no activity. But that probably, in hindsight, was probably a good thing. So I think if I'd seen anybody, I probably would have fallen over and cried. But it was a very emotional moment. I remember being at those gates and I didn't want to go, and we'd been there about half an hour or so. And then my Uncle Michael was like, I probably should go home. And I said, I didn't want to leave. But the idea that this place was only 15 minutes from where he lived was incredible.
You can unlock the Bill Obbocast, a new monthly spin-off series, on patreon.com/The Bill Podcast.